getting calls? Is that kind of how it goes right now?
Yeah, it seems to always heat up and get frequency of phone calls gets a little higher the closer you get to the draft. So we're about 24 hours away, a little more than that. So it's starting to get there. We've been up since 7 o'clock this morning trying to figure out what we need to do and how to get it done.
For you, it's probably not this way, but there's a sense that maybe this is a bit anticlimactic, certainly at the top with the top two guys. Maybe this thing starts at number 3. I mean, do you get that sense, or is it all about number 3 for everybody?
Well, I mean, it's pretty clear that the two where they are, how they're ahead of everybody else, and those picks are not for sale. So it is sort of that's the setting that we have, and that's life, and then we have to figure out that what we might get at 8, and if we don't get it at 8, do we move up, and what the price is, and if it's worth it or not. That's basically what we're trying to do all the time, and it seems like. First it seemed like it might not be possible, then it seems like, yeah, it's possible, but the price is too steep, so we'll see where it ends up. But, I mean, we're not going to be going crazy. There's a reason why why we've acquired 6 picks in the first 69. It is to stockpile young assets, and if we give up too many of those to move up a few spots, we might get the top quality, but then it takes away from the depth of the organization, too. So those are the things that we always consider and see where it ends up.
You have picks, you have prospects, you have roster players. Have you looked at the teams around you, and do you get a sense for what you have to offer relative to what other teams in your neighborhood of the first round have to offer? And do you like your chances to move up if it's something you want to do?
Yeah, well, we're always thinking that if we hear, we don't necessarily know that who's trying to do what and how they're trying to do it, and how are they trying to move up and what the price they might pay. But obviously, we'll try to project that, see what they have. And I think we're in a pretty good situation with our picks. It's become very clear that the picks 34 and 38 have great value in this year's draft. So they're in high demand. Let's just put it that way. Whether they can get us moved up anywhere, we'll see. But or whether we even want to give them up, because they're almost like first-round picks in a regular draft because of the depth of the draft. So we view them as very valuable assets for 34 and 38. So if we want to use those to move up, it's going to have to be a considerable asset that we can acquire with using those picks.
Sense that this it seems like it always happens during the draft, on the draft floor. Like, you won't know anything until then, or the fact that the first 2 picks are sort of established, does that allow you to trade and have an idea maybe going into tomorrow if you're going to get something done or not?
Well, it seems like there could be something done before that too. It's not necessarily something. I think the optimal situation would be, in our case, let's say we stay at 8, that we see what might be available at 8, and that's maybe get to 5 or 6 and see that what we were hoping that would be there is not there anymore. We have to move to 6 to get them. Then we'll do it. Or when somebody takes the 5th pick, if 6 was a possibility for us, that's when we would decide. But at the end of the day, 6 might not be available at that time anymore. So those are the things that we always have to think about. And maybe somebody will be able to, or willing to pull the trigger today. If not, they might have to wait until the draft day and see if it's still available.
Maloney said he's got, I think, 4 or 5 now legit offers. Can you say that you're one of those?
No, I can't. But we're working on all kinds of different scenarios. We've talked to every team ahead of us. We've talked to, I didn't call Edmonton because I pretty much knew that they would. But I've talked to every other team ahead of us and see what if there's a chance and what the chance might be and what it would take. But I think we're in a good situation with what we have with our assets, both picks, and we have a lot of forwards on our reserve list right now too. So it's an exciting time for us. I think it's an interesting time to figure out where we're going to end up with our roster start training camp time.
Do you feel, if you stay at 8, do you feel confident that you can get a guy that's high on your list and get a really good player?
I don't know how much higher on our list we'll get, but usually you can, and time will tell. You can always project, and you can have educated guesses on what the other teams are thinking, what they might be taking, what they might be looking for. Everybody who's probably thinking that team needs that, this team that. And at the end of the day, you don't know. They might make a move and it might change their reserve list and depth chart completely. Like, so like we're looking for a defenseman. We've said that, but if we make a trade and get a defenseman, all of a sudden we might be picking a forward. So a lot of things can change between here and the draft. But yeah, we're always analyzing our depth chart and comparing that to the other team's depth charts and what they might be doing, what their tendencies and movements might be. So that's part of the job.
How do you quantify the depth of this draft? In other words, is this kind of a, say, like a 15-spot handicap where you compare a guy that might go at 15 to a guy that would go at, 30 this year? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, like I said, I think that it almost seems like the value of our 34 and 38 are like first-round picks in the previous drafts. I mean, they might be as valuable at 34 and 38 this year as if you'd have 28 or 27 or 26 or something, because of the depth of the draft. But I still think that eighth pick is obviously the most important one, and you win with the top players, and that's pretty evident when you look at the championship teams. So that's a significant pick in this year's draft too.
How far down does that increased depth go with this particular draft? I mean, does it kind of taper off, say, after 3 rounds, 4 rounds, where it becomes more normal, or do you see it, even in the lower rounds?
Well, I don't personally know that deep into the draft, so you'd have to ask our scouts, and they'd give you a better answer than I can give you. But again, we have 6 picks within 69 picks of the draft, so that puts us in a position, if we keep all our picks, to get a lot of the guys that are in our, I'd say, top 40, probably top 50, at max. So if we can get 6 players out of our top 40, that'd be a pretty good draft, considering how deep this draft is, and to get 6 players from that group of our list would be pretty good.
Jarmo, without naming names, but you can name a name if you want. Is there a clear third best player in this draft? In other words, McDavid, Eichel. In your mind, is there a guy that's clearly the third best?
We have our list, and we have a third place on our list. Yeah.
But there aren't several guys in that argument, or there's one guy to you?
There's arguments always. Sometimes you agree. Sometimes there might be one or two guys that have a different opinion. I think it's pretty much of a consensus with our guys, and at the end of the day, it's the head guys that decide the list.